Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Polaris. Well, game number one goes the way of Finest. But a close affair, safe to say, 13-10. I mean, it went right down to the wire, but we started to see the individual step up, and Yassine on the Rays was exactly one of those who really made a name for himself towards the end there for Finest. And now we go into map number 2 of Breeze. Sam, this one for me is still a little bit of a coin flip.
Yeah, I was just during the break, I was going to take a look at, what these teams have played on this map recently. And, Finest they've only played this map once. They played it as Tundra a couple of times, and that was back in March. So both of these two teams under their current banner have only played this map once. Both of them on 100% win rate. And there have been some interesting anomalies in the compositions. Maybe not anomalies, maybe that's the wrong word. But Hukars, they're going to be putting David back on the Jet. Yes. Yeah. Can't wait to see that. Likely not going to be seeing the Chamber coming out as they played the Cypher the last time around, which has always been a pretty good agent on this map. And the big anomaly comes in with Finest, because yes, we spoke a little bit about how Yassine has historically always been a Rays player. Then he played the Jet a little bit. Jet became an overpoweringly good agent. You had to play her on just about every map, and so he had to fall in line. Yeah. Now, of course, Jet's had a couple of changes recently, and he's able to lean a little bit more into that Rays. But as we head on to Breeze, historically, they have been playing the Jet here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out, because now we have Yassine on the Jet, which is something that, yes, he has played and yes, he is good on, but we know he's a lot more comfortable on the Rays. And similarly, David, who has come from the Chamber, which he has been a little bit uncomfortable on, back onto his comfort pick of the Jet. And this matchup is going to be interesting. I mean, we saw Machina versus David, and David was consistently coming out on top of that one. So what happens when you swap out Machina and now you have David versus Yassine?
Yeah, I think this is the big question, right? I mean, you've seen a very, very good performance for David. It wasn't bad. I mean, he finished with a 1 KD, so just neutral, right? But I think he was good in them opening picks, but then slightly struggled in the kind of the mid to late round scenarios, especially in a post-plant situation as well. I think when he goes back to his comfort pick of Jet, if he goes back to his comfort pick of Jet, I think that's when David will start to find kind of that form that we know and love from him, where he actually can challenge the likes of Yassine, who finished on a 310 ACS. That's where kind of David needs his kind of comfortability of a Jet pick, because it gives him everything that plays into his playstyle, the aggressive nature, but then, of course, with just the general movement that Jet has, it allows him to go for those slightly aggressive peaks. Then he can just take that fall away, re-aggressive if he wants to. It's all up in the air, but I do want to see potentially David go back to that Jet and go for the comfort pick. We'll take a look at the agents, and well, okay, David's gone for the Chamber pick. So yeah, I mean, a couple of question marks here. We look over towards kind of the finer side, and it's exactly the same here. No questions asked about that. Bong, you're seeing gone for the race pick. Brilliant stuff. David on the Chamber. That potentially could be something that's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, both Yassine and David, because David was playing Jet on this map a week ago.
And it might not be right. I have a feeling it might not be right.
Yeah, when they played against Heat last week, he was on the Jet. So it's really interesting to see that he's coming out on the Chamber here. And again, Yassine previously, when they played against XL, he was on the Jet. And okay, I guess it didn't really... No, it did work out because they won.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm curious to see what the thought process behind this one is. Maybe they thought it was a bit of an anomaly. I mean, Finest were playing against XL at the time, really good team, and they made the Jet work. But maybe Yassine wasn't really feeling comfortable, wasn't really feeling himself on that one. Now they're going to give that Rays a try. As we have seen previously, he can be very, very powerful with that one. I'm a little disappointed to see David back on the Chamber. I would have loved to have seen him back on the Jet, as we know how good he can be on that agent. But again, I think it kind of comes back to, you have to adapt with the times. You have to make changes. You have to adapt, overcome, improvise. Well, adapt, improvise, overcome. Something to that effect. And you can't just make a change once, see how it goes, and then go, well, it's not really for me, and then just give up on it. So
true.
Keep at that grindstone. Keep improving. He was looking a lot better on Icebox than what we had seen previously of that Chamber. So hopefully that trend continues a little bit. Of course, they do have to win this map, being their map pick, in order to stay in this series. If they lose this one, then they will go 3-1. And then we'll see Finest go up to 3-1 as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I still have a sneaky suspicion that maybe not the correct selections, right? Because I mean, as you've mentioned, it's kind of the comforts that have come through that they're not being picked into, and maybe it is a question of them trying to kind of bring a kind of an ace up their sleeve, a wild card here, just to kind of cause a couple issues. We potentially could work, especially in Yassine's case, right? I think we expected him to go in towards a Jet, and the fact that he's stuck with his Raze, which he just picked up 310 ACS, just picked up a very, very good, comfortable performance from him. Undoubtedly the best player in the server, right? So, for him, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's like age-old saying. And I think for Yassine's case, it's a really good example of exactly that. He doesn't need to make any changes if he doesn't want to. But yeah, this composition, slightly different to what we may have expected, but it does make this quite interesting. Going towards Breeze, I mean, I still think this one is a bit of a coin flip, but I do then start to lean ever so slightly more in favor of Finest, just because I feel like momentum's in their sails a little bit, and you can see the individuals as well, just slightly more confident. Because even when we look back towards Icebox, David only finished with 1 KD. It's not as dominant as we usually see from him, where he's kind of finishing each and every game with 2+ KD as a standard, basically, hitting comfortably around that 250 ACS, which I don't think he even managed to hit on towards Icebox. So yeah, it wasn't really kind of the comfortable position from the individuals on the likes of Hookahs, but for Finest, I mean, it was a really good performance. Each and every single one of them stepped up, and more in the case of Yassine.
Yeah, I also had some other question marks because, of course, I didn't see the Cypher there, and we know that they do kind of lean into that one a little bit. So I'm kind of hoping that you're right, and that there was like a little bit of a technical mishap, and we're going to get the actual compositions shortly. Because I think going into Breeze with the same compositions that we had on Icebox, I mean, you give up so much in order to bring that to the table. You give up a lot of that information gathering, which is very important on a map like Breeze. It's so big and you have so much map to take control of, and without that little bit of information, you've really kind of shot yourself in the foot. So all right, well, we'll give it a moment to see if we can sort that out and get to the bottom of this situation, because again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, this is kind of do or die for Hookahs. We mentioned, well, I suppose it's more do or die for Finest at this point. If Hookahs win this one, they've almost guaranteed themselves playoffs. Almost, right? You want to win one more just to keep it comfortable, but 4 games out of the 7 won, perfect. For Finest, however, they're 2-1. If they lose this, they go 2-2. It's not great. So for them, it's really important to come out on top of this one. And there you go. This makes so much
way more
sense. Yeah, the Jets coming out.
Oh, yeah, well, I was just going to mention that I was very surprised not to see anyone pick up a SKYE as well. On a map like Breeze, as you mentioned, it's so open, right? And because you need to just try and find a little bit of information, SKYE is arguably the perfect agent to select into. So I was very surprised. I'm actually also still surprised that Sunshine didn't pick into the SKYE, because he normally does like a bit of SKYE. He's one of his most selected agents, and on a map like this, could have potentially seen him go for that, but no, the Cypher pick, I think, is a very good selection. Both sides picking up Cypher as expected.
Well, I mean, I spoke about how important information is, and you take a look at the Sova, the Cypher, the SKYE. I mean, that is intel beyond. The only difference, of course, for Hookahs, instead of the SKYE, they're coming out with the KO. And again, it is a little bit stylistic in terms of, well, what are you trying to accomplish? We know that KO can get quite a bit of information, plus he has that suppress available, plus if timed right, that ultimate can be absolutely devastating. We'll see how it does match up against the SKYE here from Finest. Trailblazer comes out. Don't think he would have spotted them. Oh, there we go.
Info. I mean, I think he may as well at the very least one. Yassine going to be able to fall away as well. Does take some significant damage, but can just take that step away. It's one apiece thus far. Marst and Yassine have taken a considerable amount of damage. Same can be said for Akimbo as well. So at the moment, pretty aggressive start.
And now it stalls out. You lose one player, you trade it out, and Hookahs have to kind of reassess a little bit. But look at this map control from Finest. Wherever Hookahs decides to go, they're going to be met with a player. So now they are going to double back, head back over towards that A site. Need to be careful because if Destructive hears those footsteps, this could be the perfect opening to get a kill.
I'll get the in towards mid as well. Destructive's trying to go a bit aggressive. Can't quite connect on the head at range as well. He's being pressured by multiple players swinging in his favour, and Akimbo will come out on top. Now, numbers favour Who Caused. HP not looking too fancy. And with 30 seconds on the clock, they need to make a decision. They still haven't committed. Kick's going aggressive for a bit of information himself. Sitting close and personal with a low HP could be good for some. Make that a 2. Looking for the 3rd and can just fall away, buy some time. And another kill goes in his favour. Spike dropped. Round done. Sunshine all alone now in a 1 versus 3. Nowhere near the site, nowhere near the spike, and you've seen it, Angel close things out. Finest 3 for 3 in pistol round, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good start to this map, especially given the fact that it wasn't their map pick. So you want to see them kind of have a strong start for themselves. And that's exactly what they've done here. Again, that map control becomes so important. Cut off those rotations as quickly as possible, and then have a player like Kix. He's someone that we highlighted at the beginning, plays that more supportive role, dies a lot, but is still able to get a ridiculously high average combat score, because while he's alive, he's taken him down with him.
Exactly that. I mean, brilliant stuff. And once again, now for Who Caused, a similar situation they know all too well, where they've failed to convert to pistol round. They're left with nothing in terms of the bank. Crossfire, stunning. Destructive finds a 3rd. David will at least find himself 2. It's consolation kills, but it's nothing more than that. It's just a clean cut round for Finest. 2nd on the board, as we expected, Sam.
Similar to what we saw on Icebox, Finest do win the first 2 rounds. On the Force, they lose 2 of their players, so a little bit of a dent into the economy there, and we'll see Destructive and Machina, unfortunately, just going to be coming in with pistols. That gives Who Caused a little bit of an opportunity, but again, if we're following trends, Finest somehow managed to win their bonus on Icebox, despite being at a serious firepower disadvantage. So, the onus is on Who Caused now. Can they come out on top of this one? That's going to get no information at all. It's not really going to help them crack in. I am liking this aggressive push over towards mid, however, taking a lot of that early map control.
Yeah, map control as well, and information. Kicksters know all too aware that Akimbo is close and personal. Probably a good sign not to overextend. As that tempo slowed right down, I mean, for Who Caused, they've got a full investment on the board here. But Finest is still just that bonus round. I mean, Mac has already got a Ghost to work with. It's not really the best of buys for him. He's playing that more information utility role, but it's a slow tempo. They're still trying to find that guaranteed entry. They haven't been given it.
I do like a slightly slower approach, though. Sometimes being a little too aggressive can be a huge detriment. And again,
agreed.
Still maintaining a lot of control here. Need to be aware of the player up in Sniper's Nest, the player up on Pyramid, and it's Kix again who opens things up.
Again, yeah, swing his way forward. Mishu, good for the trade. Laboured spray, but his kicks goes out top. Make that a 3rd. Somehow gets away with 3, and the numbers favour Finest on this defender side as Sunshine and Kimbo got a tall order to deal with. Sunshine's gone aggressive. He knows all too aware of where 1 is. The sound cues are good enough. The question is, can he find the kill? And will they even be aware that he stuck his way in behind? No, they won't, as he finds Machina. That's brilliant. 2 versus 2. Spike goes down with just shy of 10 seconds. And how does the retake work now? I mean, Bonkar's in behind. The question is, do they expect him? He's sneaking his way through main. Akimbo could be slightly exposed to this as he keeps down the position. Bonkar good for 1. It's all down to 1. And Akimbo falls. Bonkar the double. Keeps Finest flawless run, exactly like what we saw on Icebox.
Once again, despite the clear firepower disadvantage for Finest, they still come out on top of it. Now, what happened on Icebox was we got to round 4. Who Caused were on an eco round, and they somehow pistol their way into a round win. And that was off the back of 2 very important kills. It was the Sheriff headshot, and then there was a Headhunter headshot. Now, bearing in mind, of course, there is no chamber here, so they're not going to have that available to them, but they do still have Sheriffs, and Sheriffs, as we know, can still pack quite a punch. They're going to need to replicate that one if they want to get this next point on the board and start to kind of dent Finest economy a little bit here. Finest still not looking great in that regard. They've only managed to build up onto the Seekers, but the Seekers can be very, very powerful and useful. However, I don't think they drop that in an eco round here. They're looking to try to close this one out with as few casualties as possible.
Yeah, holding at range as well. You're seeing taking a bit of an aggressive stance there. Just take a little bit of damage, and Bonkar takes a lot. Down 5 points of HP. Sunshine with a double. The Sheriff stepping up and brilliantly. Again, now over towards his A sides is becoming a vulnerability. They're starting to see those gaps open up, and that's where the information is becoming a bit of a problem. It's safe to say Seekers will come online. We'll spot out one at the very least. And no pyramids has become compromised, and this retake becomes a very uncomfortable situation. Kick just to wait and buy some time for the support to come through.
Shutting them down.
Spike goes down. How do they play is the question. Maybe spray, but Destructor comes out on top. Kimbo good for one. Machina. Oh, Trigger Discipline's brilliant from behind. Will make it a second. Very, very nearly making that spray a little bit uncomfortable, but he comes out on top nonetheless, so we're all good.
I love that nice little tree there. Give a little bit of shade from the heat. As there you go. Hookah's not able to replicate their phenomenal eco round from the previous map. They do a little bit of damage. They do take away 2 of those guns, and I'm not too sure if Bonkar dies there if he doesn't get stuck in the wall, I'll be honest. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. And we head into round 5, and round 5 is what I love calling the momentum shift round. If there's going to be a moment for the momentum to swap back in your favor, it's going to be round 5, after you've lost the first 4 rounds. Now, this is going to be a statement round for Finest, because if they win this one, then they've created a huge snowball for themselves. They've already gotten themselves very close to the halfway mark of the round, and they've, you know, solidified a very good score going into the second half, regardless of what happens. But this is an important round for Hookahs because they need to turn things back in their favor. They've got 3 of their ultimates online here. One of them, of course, is going to be the Blade Storm, so it's unlikely that David's going to buy up into this round. So we'll have the Blade Storm along with the 4 rifles. But aside from the Blade Storm, they don't have too much power packing ultimates available. They've got, you know, Neural Theft, give them a little bit of information, and then of course they've got KO to try and shut things down a little bit, so unlikely that that's going to come too handy. I'm going to need to keep an eye out, of course, because Destructive has got Viper's Pit available, and that could put a spanner in all of their plans.
Do what you do best.
Again, now into round number 5. As you mentioned, this one's important. You're looking towards David. No investment, but doesn't need to. Can just get the Blade Storm online. Supported by the Quad Vandals. But as an operator for Yassine, now for me, feels like it could be the difference maker. Kick's going with the Trailblazer, spotting out information. That's the necessity. They know that they're once again committing over towards the A side. So pressure will come through as they're flooding their way forward. The Blade Storm's still trying to go aggressive. Needs to be careful. Sunshine good for the first. As Kicks will fall. Updraft to try and spot out anything. They may have an assumption that no one's close and personal. At range, though, not able to connect with the spray there for the Phantom. Bonkar needs to be careful. And, of course, Machina as well. One in below might be punished, and he will exactly that.
I know exactly where you are.
Momentum begins to shift, but that's 3 ultimates committed here for Hookahs. If they can't bring this home, if they can't solidify this, I don't know what to say.
No, I mean, they've invested so heavily into this with the ultimates as well. And now the numbers heavily favouring Hookahs, surely. Only going one way. Sunshine to make it a quad kill to close things out. That's Hookahs' first round on the board. You mentioned this was a sort of momentum shifting one. And it's our question of, will it be for Hookahs? Because it needs to be. A 4-0 down start is not exactly where you want to be, but that's an important round. The first kind of battle of the full buys goes in their favour, and now this momentum needs to start coming in their favour.
And bearing in mind how much, you mentioned it, how much was invested into that round. 3 ultimates to try to secure themselves that round. It's a lot. And of course, they don't have that coming into this round. It is full buy versus full buy. It is op versus op. We spoke about the matchup between Yassine and David. Who is going to come out on top of that one? Doesn't look like they're going to run into each other just yet. And unfortunately, Bonkar is down on just a sheriff. So he's also in a bit of a rough spot here. In terms of what's available, Hookahs have the advantage. The Finest are not a team to be counted out. And they do still have a Neural Theft of their own as well. Well, there you go.
What about Star? Hang on a second, Moss. What a shot. At range. Beautiful trade. Brings the numbers back level. I guess it's information for Finest of a slight posturing over towards that A side, but that's a brilliant shot all the same. And now how do they play this? I mean, for Finest, they went quite aggressive. They gained an opening kill, but maybe potentially slightly overextending because it's become costly. Trades benefit the attacking side now. For Hookahs, they know that all too well. Hence why they're slowing that tempo down and just waiting for an opportunity.
man, when pixels, when your life is determined by pixels. I'm very interested in this lurk from Bonkar. And I'm curious to see if he pushes it. No, okay. It was just a sheriff. Probably not the best idea to do so. Just going to try and find a little bit of information. A lot of util use, but it is Yassine who comes out on top of that battle.
Not about shot at all. Close and personal kicks. One. Looking to make it yet another. Destructive comes in for support. Leaving Akimbo all alone. And Kicks, who comfortably leans things in their favour. 5-1. As Finest regain a 4-round lead. And that is all down to the crossfires, wasn't it? I mean, Finest, after losing that man advantage, when the numbers went level in a 4 versus 4, they made the very smart decision just to take a step away and kind of invite the aggression, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty heartbreaking for Hookahs. You know, they start moving over towards that B site, and the B site can be a little bit more difficult to regress into, and it's why a lot of teams tend to favor the A site on attack, and unfortunately, yeah, they funnel into those crossfires. They're not able to shut down the sight lines as adequately as they would want to, and of course, Yassine winning out the op battle doesn't help matters. You take David off the board, you've taken away a lot of Hookahs' firepower. Now, they're still able to buy into this round, so last chance saloon here to make something happen in this half. There you go.
Fury. Good for one. Information as well on towards Kicks. Not a bad place to be at all. Now, for Hookahs, this is a decisive statement of a round here where all 5 remain alive. And you look over towards the end side of Finest. Yes, they've got money in the bank to work with, but it becomes a question of, is this even worth going for? Trailblazer will come in close and personal. Sunshine is actually going to be stunned by it, completely blinded to follow suit. That sound cue's gained, but Kick still can't safely make his way out. He still can't safely make that aggressive peek, but Destructor comes with a sport. Good for one. Sunshine will fall finally after being tormented by utility. But it's David at range. Dropping our Kicks. Destructive might want to be careful as he's being pressured by Mast. Low on HP. Setting the bait as well. He's going up aggressive, and he's just tried to fall away now. Right kick classic, good for anything? No.
Well, there you go. That's going to be a pretty good round here from Hookahs once again, and we kind of spoke about why that A site tends to be favored, so he's going to keep, well, they are going to keep leaning towards that A site. B site, it didn't really work out. You can make the B site work, but you have to take that very aggressive mid presence so that you create the crossfires, and you do leave yourself a little bit vulnerable when you have to spread out that much to gain control of a site, whereas the A site can be a little bit more easy to actually get control of as the attacker. So we're going to see them keep kind of leaning into that a little bit more. And now Yassine, of course, has Bladestorm ready, so no rifle for him. Instead, they're going to go for a very aggressive push through mid, straight towards the A site. We'll see if this actually pays off.
Yeah, I mean, it worked previously, right? They went for that mid push, and it worked in their favor. Up drops come through. Kicks the kickstart things. David going to fall. That's an important kill. Yassine, though, falling himself. Both of the Jets, both the duelists off the cards. Spike to go down. Spray's coming through, but Kink's not able to deliver onto anything. Spike will go down. Postbarn to be somewhat set up but destructive to try and force the numbers in their favor. A double spray down from Kicks. He's out to one man, and Mast has to go huge here. It's a laboured spray through the smoke and to no avail as Bonkar will clean things up. It was a hectic, aggressive retake over towards the A site. And Finest to pick up their 6th.
We spoke a little bit about how Yassine hasn't looked quite as comfortable on the Jet as he does on the Raze. And it's still kind of a story here. I mean, he's had some really good moments, but he hasn't been quite the standout that we saw on the previous map. I mean, you see him there. He's having a rough map. And I mean, even David, who we'd kind of spoken about his Jet and how good and powerful and strong it is, and you can see him trying so hard to rein in a lot of that aggression, and he's not getting the opportunities that he needs to get that space, to get those all-important impact kills. It's Kicks, who again is going to be the hero of Finest, one of my favorite players on this roster, and he is just performing incredibly well here. It's going to be another A hit for Hookahs, sticking with the tried and true, the old and the gold.
Well, again, destructive. He's been making a difference, hasn't he, as Mishu will fall. And actually, the Snakebite now causes problems. Hunter's Fury comes online. Snakebite will actually do exactly what is necessary. Denies the spike, drops it, and finds a kill. Just as a cherry on top, but David has to come alive. But with 20 points of HP, it's asking a lot. Destructive makes it a 3rd. Akimbo, again, left all alone, but as you see that range of the operator, spamming away, and this time connects 7-2. They guarantee a lead at the half at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important part, right? They get themselves a guaranteed lead. And that's super important on, I'm going to reiterate this, not their map pick.
Yes,
I mean, I had questions coming into this as to why Hookah's picked into it. They've only played it once in officials. Yes, they did win it, but it's not something that they've had a ton of official practice in. Now, of course, there comes a point where...
Out of my way.
Don't worry, man. Nobody saw that. There comes a point where the map that you practice has to come into your active map pool. But unfortunately, it seems like maybe it was a little premature for Hookah's.
No, agreed. What about start, though? Mishu, Sheriff online, good for the first. Bunker does need to be slightly cautious, or so I say, at range 1, but only. Sunshine Trade. This time it looks like they're potentially going over towards that B side. The Neuro Theft comes online, that gives them all the information they need to make a decision. And that decision is the B side once again. They failed prior, just a few rounds ago. This time, will it be any different? They come online. Mackin in a very precarious spot as he trying to deny this presence over towards B. We've got a tall order. And he has to buy some time for that rotation to come through as well. Now into the open, swinging forward, good for one, drops the spike as well. That's a stunner, making a second, and that's brilliant. All down to one man. Mackin plays timing to perfection.
8-2. Now, of course, with that being an eco round, Hookah's, yeah, we've seen them get thrifties in the past, but I wasn't holding my breath. I wasn't too sure that was actually going to pan out in their favor once again. Now, back onto the full buy. And only one ultimate available to them. Unfortunately, they invested quite a bit in the last couple of rounds. And it hasn't paid off. We have seen them kind of throw a lot of ultimates and manage to come out on top. But that's a problem. When some of your best rounds are off the back of ultimates being committed, you know that there's a problem. And Finest have done so well here to constantly take control, to keep control of the map and leverage that into more round wins. I mean, again, look at this map control from Finest. They've pushed out so heavily, and no matter where Hookahs decide to pop out from, there's going to be a crossfire waiting.
Deploying drone.
Exactly that. Well, Aldrin will come through. Bonko looking for a little bit of information. Spotting out one is good enough. Davin needs to be careful. Updraft will come through as he has to just commit to falling away. It takes quite a significant amount of damage there as well. Snakebite dropped. Waiting. As the Viper's Pits online just denies that presence once again over towards the B side. All they have to do is hold and wait as numbers in their favor. Or, not so much anymore. Mishu drops out Machina, an important kill to say the least. The operator has to come online. Spotting out one. Cloudburst, still got a gap in it though, but doesn't matter. Akimbo in for the flank. Drops out Yassine, he was exposed and open. And things aren't to fall in place for Hookahs, or so I say before Kicks comes online.
Does manage to just get away there. All right, I mean, this has been a good round from Hookahs. They, you know, posture towards B a little bit, fake a little bit, start a rotation across the map. But Finest are still getting kills. Hookahs, they completely fall apart. They give themselves the advantage. They do a beautiful fake, but they lose the spike in the middle of no man's land. And now it's down to Akimbo to somehow regain control of the spike. I mean, there's no time. He has to save. This could have been an exceptional round for Hookahs, and they fumble the ball.
No, and it should
the final finish line, they just they make such a huge mistake.
Spot on. It should have been. I think they were doing a really good job of toying with Finest in terms of kind of dipping and diving between the two sites and their rotations coming through, but then they overcomplicated it, didn't they? They should have just made that committal play over towards the site. It was 5 versus 3 at one point. They should have just committed, played that trade game, but no, they once again overcomplicate things, and it gives Finest just a lifeline, an opportunity back in, which they collect 9-2. I mean, a 7-round gap, Sam. It's tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Hookahs, you want to talk about how teams can have a strong side as opposed to a different side, right? So you think, well, maybe Hookahs are going to have a strong defensive side, but at a huge deficit like this, I don't know if they come back.
Oh, but Hunter's Fury is not bad. Mishu, he's starting things quite nicely. Akimbo, on his own as well. Not for the rifle in this situation. Yassine, spray will come through, and Akimbo will fall. That's a spike being dropped as well. This makes a big difference. Cloudburst to come in. Spray going to come forward with the Phantom. Not quite going to find his target, but it does second time of asking. Sunshine will fall. So will Mishu. And that's Finest in the first half, guaranteeing a significant lead with double digits already, Sam.
10-2 at the half. We were kind of hoping, or at least I was kind of hoping, maybe we'd hit that 9-3 curse. 10-2 curse in the chat. Anybody?
Yeah, it's looking rough, isn't it? Very rough.
They have to win the pistol, right? And that's just the start of their uphill battle. And when you consider the fact the Finest have won all 3 pistol rounds thus far, it doesn't look good for Hookahs.
No.
I'm concerned. And I mean, if they lose the pistol round, they're going to have to force into the second round. And even if they win on the second round, they're going to be in a really rough spot into the third. So I don't know. It's doable. It has been done in the past. But I think at this point, Hookahs, on top of the fact that they're at a huge deficit, their mental, it's got to be boomed.
Yeah, it's not really looking too good at the moment. And we've already seen that Finest have been, they're flawless on pistol rounds so far. I mean, on paper, you'd probably make the smarter decision to go in their favor, go 4 for 4, because they've been so dominant on them now. David is spotting one in towards mid, does take a step away, goes slightly aggressive, but also slightly exposed. Needs to be careful, doesn't matter. What a shot. Destructive will fall. Damage dealt as well on towards kicks at range. David single-handedly trying to pull them across the line.
It's a good start. Gives them the opening that they need. Decent amount of map control here. Ooh, oh no, got slingshot there a little bit, and that's going to put them in the danger zone. But how does Mars
Hang on.
What?
How is Mars managed to pull himself back into that, and somehow now it's Machina and Kicks all alone? I mean, that should have been a 1-for-1 trade, a comfortable one at that. The Hookahs potentially about to find their first pistol. We need something special. David finds yet another, second on the board. And it's a flawless pistol there for Hookahs to finally get a round up on the board. They're third. Deficit down to 7. It's a statement, Sam.
Is it a statement? I think the statement here is, we're not dead yet. Right. I don't know if this is where they turn things around. It's a good start. It's exactly what they needed. Now they're able to buy up a little bit. Yassina's bought into a Marshall, which could be devastating. Now, the nice thing is, of course, that Hookahs have full armor. So they will survive an initial headshot, but is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough? They still have the firepower advantage here. They have some really strong defensive utility. Finest have slowed things down quite nicely.
Well, Marshall needs to very much come up online, supported by, unfortunately, not too much. Their priority is kind of getting that spike down. Shock dart, won't really quite find his targets. Machina, though, at range, drops Mishu, and somehow, some way, they're coming out on top here. Now, Sunshine could be in for a comfortable kill here, and will do exactly that. Easy trade to come through. Brings numbers back level. David going slightly aggressive with his own Marshall, trying to find something, as you're seeing, just testing the waters over towards B.
I like a slower pace, but I think this could be very, very detrimental for Hookahs. I like the lurk, though. I think that this could play in really well, but the timing has to be perfect. Oh.
Okay, maybe not. Mast, again, who was brilliant in that previous round, decisive as well. Finding yet one more, kicks all fall. David stepping up on his own regard. A classic will at least cause a couple of problems, make it expensive. That's all they're going to be able to find. Mast for 3k. Hookahs bring that deficit down to 6, but it's still a bit of a tall order. It's still a long kind of road to success.
Bless chat, they actually put 10-2 curse.
Oh.
I love you guys. You're adorable. I mean, Hookahs, okay, they've started to make a bit of a statement here. You said it in the previous round. That was a statement. Now they're kind of reiterating that a little bit, but here's the problem. They're on a bonus, and Finest are on a full buy. And this is the first time that we've seen a situation where Hookahs are going to be on just a bonus against a full buy, because of course it's the first time that they've won the pistol round. They're at a huge disadvantage here. They have no ultimates to speak of, and they have to go toe-to-toe against Finest rifles.
Yeah, it's the quintuple rifles on the board. There's a couple of phantoms. Just see going aggressive, spotting out one. Needs to be careful of his flank. His Sunshine kickstarts things nicely. David as well coming in for support, and we question them, and we maybe shouldn't have, because it's looking like a flawless round for Hookahs, as it's just Machina out all alone with so much to do and so little to work with. He's in a really brutal spot, to say the least. Are you going to try and save if he can?
Oh, he can't. Oh
Wow.
my god. Okay,
Flawless.
Mishu. Jeez, that's actually surprising that he actually managed to lose that 1v1. But there you have it. Who cares? Now the statement has been made. Now they have told Finest to sit down. They've given themselves 3 rounds in a row on this second half. They've got themselves up to 5 points, but it's still an uphill battle. Finest now with just sheriffs in their back pockets. We know that they can make something happen with that. We'll see if they are able to here, but Hookahs at a huge advantage. Not quite at the ultimates, though. They would have liked to have maybe had one of those in their pocket just to solidify their resurgence a little bit more. They're going to have to make do with, well, just rifles.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see Finest, who were so dominant on their defender side, really struggle on the attacking side. Towards mid. Sunshine as well, just toying with the idea. Bonko, you're seeing one apiece. Snakebite causing a couple of issues as well. Does he be careful? He just about falls away to 1-for-1 trade with Mishu, though. Spike planted a 3 versus 2, and Sunshine slowly sneak his way forward. Could be good for a freebie, and he will do. Will he expect the second is the question. I don't think he will. Double. Katie John towards the spike, but from behind, Sunshine and Mast, a 3k, and what a retake that is. With the numbers in their favor, Finest, they can't stick out a post plant.
I thought Yassine was going to be able to swing out and take out Sunshine because he pulled out of the cage. But Mast, with a beautiful crossfire from A main, is able to ensure that that doesn't happen. They actually save each other in a crossfire situation across the map, keeping their teammates alive and securing themselves yet another round. But let's take a moment here, because Finest keep that crazy expensive. They get 3 of the Hookahs players off the board. They stole a lot of those weapons in the round as well to give themselves a little bit of extra firepower. No, they're not able to take it into the next round, but they had that available to them, and that was something that Hookahs couldn't really afford to give over. But as we come into this round, they finally have an ult on the board. Okay, it's a neural theft. It's not the best ultimate you could have available to you, but it's something. And with David having the operator here, they should have that Bladestorm online very quickly.
That's the question. Again, now over towards the A site. Finest, this time just stepping on that tempo. They've tried to play the slow, methodical approach, hasn't quite worked. And now they're going aggressive. All out attack as they're flooding their way forward. Spike will go down. Shock Dart will come through. A Snakebite as well in towards the Kimbo. He has like a slight step away. And it's all about this retake. A 5 versus 5. Both teams taking considerable damage, especially Mishu with kicks. How do they want to play it? Recon will come in. Got information on at least 2 over towards yellow. Does need to be ever so careful that a Bonkar, he's kind of toying with the idea as Sunshine will be at the very least suppressed. The neural theft comes online and this is already starting to fall apart.
Oh, okay, Sunshine. Trying to bring it back, but he's taken off the board, and there you go. That's clean up for Finest. Hookahs, a good showing in the second half, getting themselves 4 rounds in a row. But what did I tell you about round 5? It's that momentum shifting round.
Exactly.
Finest had the ultimates online. And, I mean, they only use, like, 2 of them. And they're able to use that to secure themselves the 11th round on the board. Yeah, now, thankfully for Hookahs, they're still able to buy in. And those ultimates that I mentioned that they were very close to, but not quite on the pip, now they have them online. There's still potential here to swing things back in their favor. Finest have the Bladestorm, but yeah, not going to be investing it in this round. So Hookahs have to leverage the little bit that they have here into a round win. Otherwise, Finest will find themselves on match point. Hookahs will be down onto pistols, and that could very well be the end of the series.
No, precisely. I mean, for Hookahs, this is arguably the most important round for them. One in which they desperately need to convert. Failure here, and they start to really feel the pressure. Cloudburst to come through. Moss, a brilliant start. Especially expect the second, he doesn't. Person towards sight. Akimbo at least finds the trade. Yassine, only good for that first. As Akimbo a double. Mishu, one of his own 2. Viper's pick comes online. Destructive needs to go huge here. A shock dart will come through. He's going to drop ever so slowly on towards the site in a 1 versus 3. It's a mammoth task ahead of him, and the spikes drop too.
I mean, mammoth is definitely an understatement. Yeah, the Viper's pit's being dropped, but to try to pick up that spike,
yeah,
while Mishu is just babysitting it, it's doable, but it's gonna be really. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. He's got it. His Mishu noticed. Mishu hasn't noticed. He's gonna be able to slip away, but he's gonna be walking right into the waiting arms of no one as everyone turns away.
No.
He has a free push through mid.
Oh, no way. He's got 25 seconds to work with as well. And I think he might just get time in his favor. At the very least, getting a spike down here is something. I mean, that is a real difference maker. But now as the Viper's Pit drops, surely they make an understanding of, hang on a second, he might have just escaped our grasp. And yes, he's being tagged, but he will be able to get the spike down nonetheless.
I mean, Hookah's like, guys, we've been duped. The spike does get planted, like you said, but... Oh my god. Okay, there you go. There was that lurk that I was waiting for to come through. Nice little shot through there. They play it safe. Make sure that they give themselves a lot of time and space to work with. And don't want to overextend, give over too much to the enemy team. They managed to hold on to 3 of their weapons. They only used 1 ultimate in that round, which is incredibly... Actually, no, they didn't, because that was Finest's Viper's Pit, so they didn't use anything. And they managed to come out on top of that really, really handedly. This is looking a lot better for Hookahs. I was really skeptical when I said the whole thing about, well, maybe Hookahs are a defender-sided team, but apparently that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, as we stand, this is potentially kind of in the area of posturing towards kind of OT, right? As we stand, I mean, Finest are really struggling on their attacking side. They're 1 round away from match point, but even that seems like such a long way away. Cloudburst in here for Yassine, going aggressive in towards mid, trying to just create a bit of space, and actually done exactly that. This is brilliant. He's in the back lines. Akimbo will be all too aware. It's all about who spots who first. And it's going to be Mishu to fall. Does he 180? And he's going to be able to find a second as Akimbo will fall. Brilliant from Yassine. That's the info and the opening that they needed.
Oh, this is not good for Hookahs. Because now... Finest are able to fan out towards the B site. In fact, they're able to fan out across the entire map, garner some information. They know that they're at a massive player advantage here, and as they start making their way over towards A, they still have Machina watching for a potential rotation. They have so much coverage here. This should be an easy plant, and Hookahs somehow, there you go, that's a good start to it. Now, they got to keep that ball rolling.
Can they is the question. Machina falling is unfortunate. Spike will go down, the Neural Theft to come online as well, gives all the information they need. But in this retake, it's going to be very, very difficult. Bonkara is going somewhat aggressive. Blatom online. Yassine. He's running out now, and he's left down to just a ghost. Forced in, but of course the dink come through. It's not too bad at the very least. Snake Bites online. Trying to go aggressive with the ghost, trying to gain some information. Is going to work in his favor. He's good for a 3rd. Looking to make it a quad. As the aggression coming through, but his Kinks to come in for support on the flank is brilliant. Missed shots as well, gives away Sunshine's position. And in a 1 versus 3, I think it might be a safe for you, Sam.
I mean, this is devastating for Hookahs. Yes, they're able to get another kill. They're able to take away another gun. And, with the Finest economy looking as dicey as it was, this is a huge boon for Hookahs. But unfortunately, that puts Finest on match point. That means that every single round from here on out is do or die. It is the most important round that they will play in this series. And they have to fight. They have to get 5 rounds in a row if they want to take us into overtime. And, I mean, they can do it. They've already done it. Just about. I think they did lose 1 round in the middle there. But they can string those rounds together. But now the pressure is on. And the pressure wasn't really as big as it is right now previously.
Agreed.
This is like the pinnacle of pressure for these players if they want to keep that win streak alive.
Had to make matters worse. He's gone aggressive. Sunshine, good for 1. David as well, one of his own. He's going to be stunned, but he will be able to, at the very least, gain some information. Mishu needs to be careful. He's being dinged now, down to 40. And he's just trying to stay alive. Hunter's Fury coming online. Oh, at least getting a little bit of information. Damage dealt as well with a kill. David will fall, that's important. Hunter's Fury replicated. Mishu, 9 points of HP, not able to find a kill himself. Seeker's online and is left down to a 3 versus 3 with Mishu. A slither of HP for him to work with. And a Snakebite will come through to deny a bit of presence in close and personal. Master's just trying to give them an opening. Recon Dart online. He'll flood his way forward. Swinging in. Destructive. Traded out with a first. It's down to just 1 man. Akimbo has to go huge. But it's Bonker to close things out. 13-7 Finest. Take the series 2-0. And what a performance it was for them. Who caused their flawless run stops here.
Finest now have now they still maintain their 100% map 2 win rate, but I believe this is the first series for them that hasn't gone to 3 maps because they were able to secure that first map, and then of course they secure the second map as well. And these 2 maps were incredibly close, and
yes.
I'm of course disappointed for Hookahs. They've had an incredible run this season so far. They've been looking very, very good, and they were hoping for that 4-0 scoreline, updated scoreline. But it's Finest who have found a way to come up big, and I'm really happy that they've done that as well. You know, I've been kind of bantering with them about how they disappointed me last week, and this time around, well, they do not disappoint. They've performed very, very well here, and well, that's going to be them tied up for first place along with Hookahs at a 3-1.
Yeah, it's really interesting times now at the top, right? I mean, this is where things are starting to become, you know, sort of the pan out in terms of what we're going to see towards playoffs and kind of where the seeding goes. It's all getting very interesting at the top, and a very good performance. I mean, Finest, I think it was kind of more of a question of, because it was such a dominant first half, it was just too tall of an order for Hookahs in towards their second half. And yeah, they made a really good attempt of it, but it was such a mountain to climb, such a deficit to fulfill that unfortunately they just weren't able to make their way back into it. 13-7, I mean, a really, really decisive performance from them. I'm very impressed, Sam, and for Finest now, they're one of those sides that you really have to keep an eye on for that #1 spot in regulation. Take a look at the scoreboard. Kicks, the MVP, 20 kills, 1.8 KDA, and a 257 ACS.
Yeah, I mean, Sunshine and Kicks were 2 of the players that we'd highlighted a little bit earlier on in the show, and clearly just showing why they are so noteworthy. Kicks again with an absolutely unreal ACS for a supportive player. Yeah, he dies relatively often. It is the curse of being a supportive player, but he's getting so many frags, so many kills round after round, that even though he's dying, he's still able to keep his ACS pretty damn high. And that is really impressive for a supportive player. And Sunshine, I mean, we mentioned him, he's not always that high fragger, but he's always doing a lot to support the rest of the team. And this time around, he does both. He performs incredibly well. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough this time around. David, you know, he was kind of middling a little bit on this map. We saw what he was capable of on Icebox, and unfortunately this time around, he just wasn't quite there. I mean, even Yassine middled a little bit, but thankfully Kix was there to pick up a little bit of that slack.
Yeah, exactly. I think kind of one of the big differences is that, you know, you look at it towards Finest, and there wasn't kind of the individual who like massively stepped up in terms of kind of a 310 ACS like we saw prior. And I think it was just a very good, well-rounded performance in Finest. There was like no outliers, may I say, in terms of, you know, outperforming or underperforming. It was a really, really solid performance all over from them. And credit to them, it shows that now that sort of synergy and cohesion is starting to come through for this side. And of course, fortunately for you lovely people at home, we're joined by the lovely Bonkar for an interview as we kind of delve into the details of how this one. First of all, mate, congratulations. How's your thoughts?
Oh, thank you. Feels good winning, of course. I'm not muted in TeamSpeak. Nice. No, it feels good. Relief.
Yeah, love to hear it. Well, Sam, take it away. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed with how you guys have bounced back from last week. So, you know, what would you say were your biggest issues last week, and how did you adapt and fix those coming into the series today?
Biggest issues from last week, to be honest. I mean, I'd say we just kept on playing. We've been working on small individual mistakes, like we're throwing a lot of rounds. It's been getting better, but if we're talking from last week, like we've been working on individual mistakes, which is overcommitting when we don't have to, you know, in advantages, after plans, etc. That has been our biggest weakness.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of, you know, you've done that, but what was the preparation like coming in towards this game? Because, of course, on paper, I mean, Hookah's up to this point flawless. I mean, 3-0, they were the team to be top of the leaderboard, the top of the rankings at the moment. Kind of what was your preparation coming into this game? Because they were a very formidable opponent at the start of the season.
I'm going to be honest. We just watched VLR or VRL, checked their map veto, and that was kind of it, what we did against them. We've been focusing a lot more on ourselves up until this point, and I think we're going to continue doing that, because the reason we lost against Kova, I mean, they played a good game, well played to them, but we lost ourselves, to be honest. So we just got to keep on focusing on ourselves and keep improving, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I had definitely noticed. And obviously, you guys have had a couple of roster changes coming into this split. And I know we heard a little bit about it in the interviews as well. But how do you feel the team is gelling now? You've had a little bit more time together and you've had quite a few officials. So do you feel like this could be the roster that sticks going forward?
Definitely, 100%. I feel super confident with this roster. Everyone is nice. We have good chemistry. We have good energy. Only positive things to say about Destructive and Kicks, Kimi and Hakan, so to say. They're amazing people, and so is Yasin and Machina, yeah. So yeah, I think we're
Oh,
gonna stick together, but obviously we'll have to see how it goes. But I would be surprised if it doesn't go well.
yeah, well, so far so good, right? I mean, you're now joint first place, of course, with Hookahs. You're one of those sides who are kind of up there on paper as being the ones who potentially could finish first place in terms of regular season. Then it's all about seeding. What is it now the plan going forward to kind of the rest of the season? Of course, you want that strong finish. You want to finish kind of that first place to get the better seeding. But what's the plan looking forward for you guys?
I mean, obviously we want to win the last. We have 3 more games, I believe. We want to win the last 3 games. Hopefully 2-0, but a win is a win. Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's 2-0, 2-1. And again, I really feel like we need to focus on ourselves because when we're playing bad, most of the times it does feel like we're losing to ourselves. To be honest, we're not
Yeah.
playing as a team. We're playing a little bit too much individually, which is our strength. We play a very individual style. We go
For sure.
really hard, we play super aggressive, super explosive, etc. But we need to learn when we need to stop playing aggressive. For example, like Icebox beginning against Hookers here, they got the entry kill literally every round. We need to realize and recognize when we need to
Yeah.
stop it and play more as a team when the individual things ain't working anymore.
Wow, brilliant, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, congratulations. 2-0 for Hookahs. Go and enjoy the celebrations. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers, brother. Awesome. Confident stuff. I mean, this finest side are looking scary and for good reason. And kind of just before we kind of wrap things up for game number 1, we had you had a clip that you highlighted, right? One that you want to sort of analyze coming in towards this. And as kind of, do you want to run us through what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so this was in round 11, and it was something that I had spoken a little bit about while it happened, but I feel like I needed to reiterate it because it was a round that Hookahs really should have come out on top of. So they start here by posturing over towards that B site. And yes, of course, there's the Viper's Pit in the way. It does cause a few issues for them, and so they start to pull back. They get that opening kill. Now that is massive. They've completely opened up the midsection of the map. Here they start to make this rotation. Yasin gets spotted and the Cloudburst does not connect where it needs to. They're still able to take down Yasin, which is very, very important, but they're unaware that Kix is here in tunnel and no one has checked for him. He gets that kill and he's able to shut down that push. And despite that, Sunshine gets them into a 4 versus 2 situation. This should be the easiest round win of their lives. But again, a very early rotation through mid gets that spike dropped. It felt like there was a huge miscommunication there, and that entire round completely unraveled. It's something so small, and they should realistically have been able to come out on top of that. And this was kind of a theme for them. These really small mistakes throughout the round that unfortunately cost them the round, the map, and the series.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. Right? For Hookahs, there was kind of plenty of opportunities where for them it was kind of a situation where, as I mentioned prior, they overcomplicated things, right? I think they had plenty of opportunities to get, really decisive rounds on the board, and they made things significantly tougher for themselves, and they probably needed to be. It's a very unfortunate, but we talk about that mental reset that Finest were able to do against Cova from last week, and I think the same needs to be said about Hookahs going in towards the next few weeks as well. If they want that strong finish, and of course, if they want to guarantee themselves a spot in towards playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, that is game number 1 done and dusted. We have one more game coming up. It's H2O taking on Alliance. Unfortunate to say, but it's the battle for bottom place. We'll be back after a bit of an elongated break when we bring that banger. See you soon.
Alright.
Oh my god, I don't know. It looks like Thanos. I'm checking Astra.
Bridge. Sova.
Sova.
Over. Strong shoulder.
Sova.
Wait, it's not Fade? Wait, it's Sova?
Bro, you're the guy who's playing Sova.
What is it?
Is that Fade?
What's
I
happening?
was so confident. I actually thought it was Fade.
No Sova.
Omen.
Maybe.
KO? Okay, I got it.
What?
Bro, you just say every agent. What do you mean I got it?
Bridge.
Do you say breach all the time? I say
Guys, rim.
Cypher.
Cypher.
I say it's over.
I said Sova.
Nah, no, sure. I'm a Sova main. I'm telling you, it's not a Sova. It's a Breach or a Brim.
Oh, damn.
Brimstone main, let's go!
Sova.
Wait, it's
Oh,
not. That's
bro,
not.
What
That's
is
no
Devo
way.
trolling?
Sova. You guys are trolling. You guys are, this is not Sova. What is that?
Bro,
There's no
every
way.
agent looks like Sova.
Yeah.
Huh?
Jet.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh my
Bro.
god.
No one plays Jet.
Oh. I should know this one.
Oh, that's cute. It's a cute little one.
Snowman. Which snowman is it though?
Yeah, which one is it?
I've been talking to that snowman for a while.
Oh no.
Devo. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's go.
My position is bad.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was Icebox as well.
Yo, where's this at, man? I don't go looking at all the details.
What?
I'm pretty sure there's something in the sky outside.
Yeah.
It's like a spawn saying hello to me every
Same,
time
I
I
have
spawn
the
there.
same idea.
Yeah, it's the ice cream bit, isn't it?
Wait, what?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
I played the game too much, it's fine.